Hi, my name is Nikki Seward, and this short video, this will be one of my shorter ones, looks at how the Bay Delta Conservation Plan seems to relate to the new method of fracking and all the natural gas wells in the Delta. And it's quite interesting to note that the areas planned for restoration also happen to be areas where there's natural gas reserves accessible under the new fracking method, and the state has been issuing permits for this new method of natural gas exploration. So if you don't know what fracking is about, this will take you through some of it. I wanted to start by noting that this is at my SnookHarbor.net website, and I have this page called California Delta Water Wars, and a lot of what I do, I'll post up there, the links to it. The question I'm asking, this has to do with Chapter 3 of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, the conservation measures, and I'm asking, when inputting the raw data for calcium, calcium-2, DSM-2, RMA, and the other computer modeling, was the additional consumption of water by tule planting, and that goes through that, and the in-delta water wells that will be used for new horizontal fracking method, was it already computed into the Bay Delta Conservation Plan estimates and computer modeling or not? It's a fairly new technology, so I know it wasn't happening when CalFed was doing the computer modeling, and yet so much of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan conservation measures were decided during early CalFed time. So I want to know, what is the computer modeling that says the impacts of fracking? Guess what? Bay Delta Conservation Plan does not seem to address this issue, neither about water consumption from tules nor about the impacts of fracking in these areas, and what does it do to the existing environment and the future environment. So we're going to go through this, and if you don't know about fracking, you do have a lot to learn. So I'm going to minimize this one, and I'm going to go to, this is my California Water Wars page, and this is just one of the issues that I am addressing, and I'm going to click on this map so you can see it better. And again, I hope you have a big screen that you can use to look at these. What this is, this map in particular, I'll raise it up a little bit. You can see that on the left side is, let's see if I can make it smaller, is the Bay Delta Conservation Plan map. You know what? This kind of got big by itself. So, okay, now we made it smaller. Hopefully you can see it. And you can see that the Bay Delta Conservation Plan is on the left. This is restoration areas. This is a Chapter 3 figure. And on the right is one of the first maps that emerged on the huge natural gas reserves way below the Delta that all these farmers have mineral rights, most of them do. And I think over the last 10 years, there's been really a push to get the farmers to sell so that the state or gas companies could take over so they can go after this natural gas. So this is going to be about the close correlation between the areas that's being proposed for restoration, like this whole Yolo bypass area, and where the natural gas is found. So I'm going to go on, I'm going to backtrack there, so we will look at that later. And now I'm going to, this is going on to it's deltarevision.com. It's a archival of different documents related to the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. It's now also archiving some of the fracking documentation from California, since the timeline shows such a close correlation between development of CalFed and the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, the water banking and changes to water exports, and then this hydraulic new horizontal fracking invented. So this timeline here, you need to go over it. You need to look at the deltarevision.com, the timeline. And I'm going to click on this particular one, horizontal fracking invented. Mainstream media wants to tell you that, oh, they've been fracking for a long, long time. Pre-1998, wells would go straight down. These fracking wells, yes, they'd use hydraulic mining. They'd put water pressure down, and it would frack in this way. Somebody's drinking water well might be nearby, but it wouldn't be impacted. Post 1998, with this new invention, they can go wandering all over the place underground. You might not know it. They generally are deeper than the water wells, but the fracking fissures can go up. The water pressure and the natural gas or oil go up. It can impact or cross-contaminate drinking water wells, and that's a huge concern in other states. It's going to impact California just as much because they're fracking in California now. Here is another graphic provided by Hydrofrack. There's a lot of, go to Frack Tracker and Hydrofrack, and there's all these different websites now that are telling you what fracking's really about versus what the oil companies and energy companies want you to think. Anyway, with fracking, it goes down. They use water pressure to go across a area and frack to get the natural gas to seep up, and the water has propellants and all that they inject, which can contaminate the area, and that's a big concern for everybody. So I'm going to go on from this one and go on to the next. So you can click on all of these. You can see other surveys that were done. I'm going to go on to the next thing. Whoops, we saw that. Okay, so in 2001, there was this wonderful map done, and I sort of collect maps. So I came across this one, and you can find it online too. And I wanted you to see that this was by the Division of Oil and Gas from California, and the oil fields, gas fields, and geothermal field. And what we find, you can enlarge it pretty well. Let's take it up to 400%. And what we find is that there is a lot of natural gas. Well, that's no surprise to anybody. There are wells around. Calpine was looking for gas in this area. What people don't realize is there is oil in the Brentwood area, and there is geothermal maybe in some areas around the delta, but in particular, like you see, these are county boundaries. That's what that's supposed to be. But there also may be geothermal in some of these areas. So I wanted you to see this map, and you can see a few names of different natural gas well locations in 2001. That's really important to note. Just a few names that were noted. This now is a map published in the end of 2009. This is also from the state, and I'm going to enlarge this because I want you to see what's going on in the delta now. So lands are, either farmers are leasing out lands or lands are being sold. I want to look over, Liberty Island is all flooded, we know that. So supposedly Liberty Island gas, this one was abandoned, but there are other new wells. Look at this yellow bypass area. Look at that. Look how many we're talking new wells getting ready for fracking or actively fracking. Grand Island, there's fracking wells. Chevron calls this area of Ryer Island, Prospect Island, Chevron USA Inc. Ryer Prospect Community. That's their community of wells. Who else is in the Delta? Tesano Petroleum. There's Town. That's a different Town family apparently than what most people recognize as a Delta name. Capital Oil Corp. Here's another Chevron, another Chevron, another Chevron, another Capital Oil. So you see that all of these are that you look at the symbols and see which one have been ready to frack. Some of them are just waiting idle right now. They've found gas there. The Stream Energy Inc. is really interesting. That should take a whole video by itself, because who they are, and I have a big question about the Stream Energy Inc. This is not the Stream Energy from Texas that you would think that you can like Google online. This is a different name. It just looks like the same thing. Over in this area, this is Andros Island. You see here's Georgiana Slough in here, and Georgiana has become big attention for me because I know that there's unaccounted for very substantial water on Georgiana. And when you see that there's also a lot of these fracking companies that have come in, and in particular there's companies that have gotten leases along Steamboat Slough. The state has leased out the beds of Steamboat Slough, part of the Sacramento River along in here, to this Stream Energy. It doesn't show on this map because this map apparently was made before that happened. And there's areas of Snodgrass Slough that also have now have leases on them for fracking for natural gas. So I think it's important for you to note. You can look at this right here. You can also go to California Department of Conservation. They're conserving the natural gas by letting people frack it. I'm not sure how that works. For example, here is a lease. This is to Stream Energy Inc. Here is this person, Guy Burge. This place doesn't really exist in Bakersfield. And the Stream Energy Inc., when you go to the California Secretary of State website, I could not find this as a California company. I went searching around. It wasn't the Texas company that you can Google online. So who is that company? And then I found that Stream has actually assigned their leases over to somebody else. They have gotten several different leases that affect Steamboat Slough and the Sacramento River, and then now they've can't find the person, but they've assigned it over to somebody else. And there is I don't know, north of Sacramento, Rancho Cordova address or something like that. The reason why I wanted you to know all this is going right back to, let me find that one again. Sorry, where's my little map? I'm going to take it right back to my Delta Water Wars and my page showing you that there is a correlation. The timing of when fracking was developed, this horizontal fracking, and when they picked which places are going to get restored, it is not an accident. It's like the state wanted to get the farmers out of the way so the gas companies could come in and lease, or they wanted to get the farmers to decide to lease to these gas companies. Fracking is very bad news for any area where there's fracking. If they're not careful with those wells, those fracking wells can leak and contaminate the drinking water well. So I think that the Bay Delta Conservation Plan needs to analyze the impact of fracking in the areas where the restoration are and how that is going to affect the drinking water wells in this whole area and possibly the whole bay. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.